Hi everyone. Welcome to today's webinar session. In today's webinar session, we'll be covering the topic simplified data workflow with Apache NiFi. Basically, in this webinar session, we'll be discussing on how Apache NiFi can be integrated with different kinds of data sources and Apache NiFi use cases basically with respect to its operation and transforming the data, how we can use Apache NiFi. So in today's topic, we'll be covering introduction to the data flow. Basically, what is the data flow? Challenges in data integration, overview of Apache NiFi. Then we'll be going through Apache NiFi's user interface. Next, we'll be covering key features of Apache NiFi. Next, we'll be discussing on benefits of using Apache NiFi. So coming to the first point, introduction to data workflow. Data workflow are lifeline of any organization, defining how data moves through system. So whenever we have a data, it has to move from one point to the another point. So basically in any environment, we have a concept of data source and a data storage. So whenever a data is moving from one data point to another data point, there will be a number of operations happening. That can be a transformation, that can be modifying the data, whatever it is. Okay. An efficient workflow is crucial for timely decision making and operation excellence. So whenever there is a data movement or a data operation or data transformation is happening, we have to make sure that it is in efficient and whatever the data movement it is happening, it should be well constructed basically. So on a day-to-day basis, we face many challenges in data integration. Some of the challenges are including handling diverse data sources. So whenever we have a data coming into our system, the data can be fed through a number of data sources. That can be MySQL database, that can be a HTTP service, that can be a data queue like Kafka or MongoDB, RabbitMQ. Okay, so it can be anything. So coping with the velocity and volume of data. So in production environment, basically when we start any project, we'll be having a small amount of data, but that data will increase exponentially. Okay, so how we handle that data will be the main factor. Next point is addressing the complexities in data transformation. So whenever we are working with the data, so data can be in any format like JSON, CSV, Avro, Protobuf, anything. So it will come to a main point where how we handle this data, how we transform this data, and how we utilize this data. And endpoint is the ensuring a real-time processing capability. So whenever we have data come into our production environment or any live environment, the main aspect is the data should be processed as fast as possible, and it should be available for the end user to access that data. So in this webinar, we'll be mainly concentrating on all these 4 points, whatever we discussed now, and how we can use NiFi to achieve all these things. So coming to the next part, that is overview of Apache NiFi. So Apache NiFi is basically an open source data integration tool, simplifies the complexity of data movement. So Apache NiFi, it is an open source tool basically. Okay. And using Apache NiFi, we can create a simple data flows for the movement of the data, and we can also handle complex data also with Apache NiFi. It also has a user-friendly interface. Okay. It plays a pivotal role in managing, securing, and optimizing data flow across various systems. So basically, using Apache NiFi UI, we can create a secured and optimized data flow for our movement of our data, basically. So coming to the NiFi user interface, so this is just a sample data flow that we have created for our data to move from one point to the another point. Okay, so I'll be just zooming out from the presentation, and I'll be just walking you guys through basically what a NiFi flow will look like. Okay. So once you install and run a NiFi service, this is the UI that we'll basically see. Okay, this has a number of drag and drop option, as you can see here in the tab, and this is the canvas what we can see, and this is the NiFi configuration, whatever we can do. Okay. So I'll be walking you through quickly on each of them. So the main important thing is what you can see here is the processor. So what we do normally when we create a data flow, we just drag and drop this processor symbol. So you then we can see a number of inbuilt what to say processors that has a specific operation. So for just for an example, if I want to fetch a file from my location, there is a processor called get file processor. So I'll be just adding that processor, and if I just zoom in, I can go to the configuration. Here you can see properties. Here I can give any directory of our choice to fetch a file from that particular location. Okay. So if I just give a temp directory or any of the directory, it will fetch from that location. So if I want to put this file into a different directory, okay, we have something called put file processor. So I'll be adding that processor, and I'll be configuring that. Let me say I will put it into home user, whatever you might be the user. So once you configure these things, what we do is there is a connection that we have to connect. So as you can see, the relationship we have to select, that is success relationship. Once we configure this properly, we can it will be initially in the stopped what to say stop mode, so we can just run once or start it. Okay, so as you can see, we got a couple of files. We can go and even view the files, what content it has. Okay, so and what content it has and all. So also it has something called attributes. What is the path name, what is the file creation, okay, this kind of. So along with that processor, we have input port and output port. These things will come into picture when we have some when we use something called processor group. So this is a processor group. Let me just name it as PC. So this is nothing but, as the simplified name says, it is a group of processors. So inside this, we can add a number of what to say processor for a specific operation. If I add some processor, and if I go back, so this will be having that processor particularly. So if I want to connect any external processor to this, it says like it doesn't have any local input port. So at this time, what we do, we drag and drop this input port. So let me just name it as in and add this. Okay. And if I now add this to this, so you can see here to the input add. Okay. So this is these are some of the basic operation that we can do. Okay. And other than that, we also have configurations here where we can see controller setting, templates. Basically you can just download this and create a template out of this. It will be an XML file. Okay, and we can import this into any other NiFi environments. And here on this tab, you can see how many processors are running, and how many data is getting queued in the NiFi as of now, and how many processors are in stopped state or running state, or it is in disabled state, or whatever it is. Okay. And also you can see the information of versions of NiFi and these other details. Okay. So this is the basic introduction to the NiFi UI. In the coming seminars, we'll deep dive into the NiFi UI basically. Let me go back to the presentation again. So now we know how a basic NiFi user interface looks like and what are the operations that we can do. Okay. So coming to the key features of Apache NiFi is NiFi stands out with its friendly user interface, as we just saw, robust data provenance, okay, extensibility of various data sources. So as I said, NiFi can integrate with various data sources like Kafka or any database like MongoDB, Cassandra. Also on the big data side, it can connect to like HDFS, HBase, any HTTP, FTP, different data sources. Scalability to handle large data sets. So it can handle any amount of data until and unless we create a sophisticated workflow to handle those kind of data. And also NiFi comes up with this multiple security features where we can create a SSL configuration and create a secure NiFi. Okay. And also strong community support ensure continuous improvement. Basically, since it is an open source software, we can always have an improvement with our community involvement. And next we'll come to the few of the key features of Apache NiFi. So first one is user interface, whatever you saw. Data flow management. So as I showed you, we can move the data from one process to another processor very easily and also monitor them easily. Next is data provenance. So whatever the data currently flowing through the NiFi, it is always be stored in this provenance repository. So if any issue happens or any NiFi goes down, we can always replay the data or reuse the data. So there is no loss of data until the provenance is deleted manually. Extensibility, as I told, it can be used extensively with any data sources. Okay. Then built-in processors and connectors. So as I showed you, there are n number of inbuilt processors and connectors to connect with multiple databases. And also NiFi comes with an option of creating our own custom processor. Basically Apache NiFi backend is done through Java coding. Okay. So we can use this Apache NiFi to create our own processors, custom processor, and deploy it on our Apache NiFi. Okay. And next is prioritization and flow control. So basically we can have a complete authority or control over our data flow. We can stop, start, disable, or we can do any operation on the Apache NiFi UI basically. So in detail, we'll go through each of them. So user interface. NiFi features a web-based graphical user interface that simplifies the creation and visualization of data flow. The drag-drop interface allows user to design complex data workflow without the need for extensive program skills. So as you saw here, we can involve a person who doesn't have a good hands-on on even on the coding Java, Python, Scala, anything. So this is just a basic service where anyone who has a basic knowledge of dragging and dropping and configuring exact like required configuration can easily use Apache NiFi. Next is data flow management. NiFi enables user to create data flows representing the movement and transformation of data from source to destination. So as I showed you, we have a get file and a put file processor. Okay, so we can manage that movement from source to destination. Okay, these flows are defined using processor, which are modular components that perform specific tasks. So again, coming back to the like tasks such as data ingestion, transformation, and routing. Okay, so as I showed you, get file is a specific processor which is used to get the data from the our file system. Put file is for similarly to put the data. So similarly, we have HTTP request, HTTP response, which will handle the HTTP kind of data that comes through. Okay. Next is data provenance. One of the NiFi distinct feature is data provenance tracking. It provides a detailed recording of transformation and movement of each piece of data. Data provenance is crucial for auditing, troubleshooting, and ensuring data lineage is complete compliance scenario. So as I said, data provenance, it is for tracking the data. So whenever there is a data flow from one data point to another data point, we should always have a tab of when the data is processed, when the data has arrived, or if it has got deleted, when the data has got deleted. So we have something called provenance repository, and we can view that also on the NiFi UI. So just to show for an example, so I will again go back to our NiFi flow. Okay, so here if I come to this get file, there is something called there's something called view data provenance. So if I go to this data provenance, you can see that at what time the data has received. Basically get file has only receive operation. So we can go to this and it will show us to which processor this data belongs to. And also we can see at what time the data has come downloaded. So it is basically a graphical representation, and also we can download these things also. So I will just go back to the presentation again. Coming to the next slide, extensibility. NiFi is highly extensible, allowing user to incorporate custom processor. As I said, we can develop our own processors, own controller service, and reporting tasks basically, and deploy it on our Apache NiFi UI. This extensively enables organization to adapt NiFi to the specific integration requirement and integrate it seamlessly with variety of systems and technologies. So let's say with all the inbuilt processor, you have some other operation that you want to do which is not available with the inbuilt processor. So at that time, you can specifically develop your own code and deploy a NAR file similar to jar file. We deploy a NAR file into our Apache NiFi UI, okay, and utilize that processor basically. Next is built-in processor. NiFi comes with a rich set of built-in processor that cover a wide range of data integration tasks, including data ingestion from various sources, transformation, routing, and interaction with external system. Okay, sorry for that. Yeah, it also supports connectors for popular data storage and processing platform. So as I said again, NiFi has a number of inbuilt processor which can communicate with varieties of data source. It might be a data queuing system, data storage system, data processing system. Okay, any HTTP, FTP, SFTP, any of the data location, it can easily communicate. Okay. Next is data prioritization and flow control. NiFi allows user to prioritize data flow based on business rule, content, or other criteria. So basically, let's say you have 10,000 data that is coming. Let's say these data have a tag of date. Okay, so we can also handle, depending upon this date, we can send the data one by one in a priority order. Okay, and flow control mechanism help manage and optimize data movement to the system, ensuring local data is processed efficiently. So coming to the next part, we'll be discussing on benefits of using Apache NiFi. Apache NiFi offers a user-friendly interface with a drag and drop functionality for seamless data flow design that we already saw. Okay. Facilitating efficient integration of diverse system. So we can add any kind of data endpoints and we can integrate with Apache NiFi. Its robust data provenance ensure transparency and compliance, while extensibility allow customization to specific integration needs. So as I said, with extensibility, we can create our own custom processor and we can integrate with our any data endpoint according to our need. Okay. With scalability, real-time processing, and strong security features, NiFi simplifies complex data workflows. Okay. So we can set up a secure NiFi. We can run NiFi in a standalone mode. We can run in a clustered mode. Okay. So where if we run it in a cluster mode, the load will be shared or balanced between all the cluster servers basically. Okay. Making it a versatile and powerful solution for streamlined data integration across various platforms. So this is again, NiFi is a streaming platform or a streaming ETL tool where live data can be handled from end to end. Okay. And as I said, active community support further enhance reliability and adaptability in modern data landscape. So since it is an open source software, there is always improvement with help of Apache NiFi community. So coming to the conclusion, adopting Apache NiFi for navigating the data integration landscape proves to be a very transformative step towards achieving streamlined and efficient data workflow. So in the current scenario, NiFi is a very powerful tool which can be used to integrate with various data sources, various data transformation, and storing the data basically into various data storage system also. So this was everything about Apache NiFi discussion on data integration, transformation, operations in today's webinar talk. Thank you everyone.